Gurmaga, Count Corla. I was hoping Minister Ryan would be here, Minister Smith, because on the 28th of April I highlighted to him in Leaders' Debate the dysfunction that exists in DAA management, which was all too clear to be seen at the weekend. And it's also a reflection of government's ability to spend eye-watering sums in Dublin Airport without any regard to the efficiencies or capacities it delivers. So if I may make a suggestion to you, I think you need to look at the exclusions that were offered to workers made redundant at sea. Can they be brought back on short-time working? And maybe you need to get the Army in as well to try and get over this debacle. I also want to speak about Waterford Regional Airport, the home of Rescue 117, and the capacity increases that were mooted for that airport in the 1990s. It was, in fact, the first regional airport used by a fledgling Ryanair. The runway extension to allow jet activity was in the last programme for government, but was walked away because of prevailing politics at the time. The airport catchment mirrors that of Waterford Regional Hospital, over 500,000 and 30,000 people, and a population isochrone of 1.5 million exists within a 1.5 hour travel time to Waterford Airport. On the 28th of April, again, I raised with the Minister the Department stated funding of 160 million to the national aviation sector while bypassing Waterford Airport completely. So I expect, Minister, that you may have heard in the news this morning that private equity has now been secured in the terms of €8 million for Waterford Airport, and this to fund the expansion of the runway extension at Waterford. It will also require a combination investment of €2 million from the local authority and €5 million, as stated, from government before. I want to thank Deputies Verona Murphy and Michael Lowry as part of our regional group in visiting and representing for the airport. Can I make a couple of points to you, Minister, that you might pass on to Minister Ryan? I expect that this funding will be delivered by way of grant aid and not based on some public procurement capital plan. We're presently still a year down the road in Waterford trying to acquire lands for the South East TU. So I think a grant money here would be the most expedited way to deliver funding to the airport. And I would also ask, Minister, that if the cost envelope of this new runway extends beyond what has been anticipated, that the people of the South East and I would expect that government will fund any shortfalls, and that is equitable treatment, something that the government has announced for shoring up cost overruns on other public sector procurement processes underway at present. I would also ask that the Minister make a formal announcement as soon as possible, welcoming the private sector announcement and honouring the deal that was made to Waterford and the South East regarding delivery of this vital infrastructure. It is long past time that it was delivered, Minister. Can I also just speak for a minute about the recent public transport fares reduction and the NTA launching a 20% reduction in public sector travel? And why was this not extended to the private sector, Minister, particularly to bus operators? We understand that semi-state companies should not have a monopoly in this country, but that's exactly what you're now reinforcing with your policy. It is uncompetitive, it is discriminatory against private bus operators, and it will mean that future private routes will be lost, thereby discommoding customers in the future with less choice and more cost. I would ask you to speak to the NTA to find a way to try and support a ticketing solution to deliver discounts to these private fares also. Also, Minister, with respect to HGV and bus lorry driver licences from Ukraine, this has come up before. We have a number of people in this country who have both HGV and bus licences but cannot have them accepted by the NTA. Car licences are immediately accepted in this country. And again, Minister, this is something that needs to be looked at. And finally, can I just mention, in terms of cardiac care, Minister, I brought up in the House in the last week the issue of 134 blue light transfers out of Waterford, the average time to Cork taking 3 hours 15 minutes. And maybe you'd care to comment, or the Minister might care to make a public comment on the Taoiseach's statement in this House on the National Maternity Hospital debate, where he said it had to be in Dublin because a lady suffering a cardiac arrest could access ICU care in 20 minutes. So what does that say for us down in the South East? So I would also ask you, Minister, is government aware that the international standard protocol for accessing cardiac catheterisation is actually 90 minutes from the onset of pain and first responder? So these are things, Minister, that I hope that you will take up with Minister Ryan. We need the N25 upgraded to give us a cardiac pathway for out of hours, but far more important, we need the delivery of 24/7 cardiac care at University Hospital Waterford, and I expect, Minister, to see this delivered in this government programme.
Thank you very much.